Alright, I've got a surprise for you guys. I'm going to show you what I've been hard at work on. I've got the Intrepid class Voyager. Got the Enterprise E. And yeah, pardon, it's not really rendering everything all the way yet, but... And I've also got the Defiant. Now, I took a little liberties in designing some of these ships, and they're not going to be anatomically correct. But really, there's only so much that you can do in the Fallout 4 settlement builder. I want to say altogether this took probably close to about 20 hours to do.
Easy living, this ain't. Crop's been growing pretty good lately.
It took quite a while, yeah. And I have to say, every time I stare at it, it's kind of awe-inspiring, really. There's still a few things that I'd like to get around to doing. That being said, what great piece of work isn't completely done? Or is completely done, I should say. So yeah, without further ado, I'll go ahead and get into these ships. Now, the first one we're going to tour is my Enterprise E build. And I felt that this really did quite well. And first things first, we see the transporter room. It's kind of a superfluous element, really, but it's here. And the next deck up, we have engineering. This is where the warp core would be, of course. With the deflector dish, I'm still kind of working on that. Right there.
There's a story here.
And down through here, got more engineering levels. This is shuttle bay down here. Kind of superfluous as well. But really the main reason why I added this deck right here was so I could lay conduit. And up here, second level, we've got our med bay. Full of the surgery center, and I guess took a little bit of liberty there, and that would be a hollow emitter for your emergency medical program. Yeah, it looks pretty decent. Over here we have the wages and nacelles. They're kind of bare bones at the moment. I really can't think of anything else much to do other than maybe put a some light boxes right here, make them blue. Sort of match the nacelles on the Enterprise E. And maybe some red ones up top at the forward end of the ship. Up there you saw a laser turret, or heavy laser turret, which would be a phaser. Excuse me. And up here is pretty much the same thing. I think that light was just added there for just testing reasons. Yeah, and I would have loved to have done a Galaxy class instead of the Sovereign Enterprise E. But the main thing that kept me from doing so was the height constraints that the settlement builder puts on you in the PS4. I think I could have done maybe 4 or 5 decks before I had to stop. And right here we have our lounge area, trading store, and recreation common area. Got a bar, and through here we would have our crew quarters.
Not a lot of folks would travel with it.
Kind of lacking any sort of cabinetry. Place to put your clothes. Hanging wire. I need to fix the conduit. Some of these places that you'll be able to see just because Snap's a bitch on this thing, and it's hard to get things to sit where you want them to, as you probably all know. I'd say that turned out pretty well. I really would. And this next area I had a lot of fun designing. Originally this wasn't all here yet, but through this way, you'll see what I'm talking about. this is sort of a captain's area, captain's quarters. You can entertain guests, you know, look out downtown Boston. And through here we'd have our photon torpedo arrays, or quantum torpedo arrays, and your phaser banks. And I've got them located, 2 on the aft end on the warp nacelles, and I have 2 rocket launchers on the aft end. I'll be more than happy to take you down and show you. I'm really happy with the way these warp nacelles turned out. They're obviously a lot different than the Intrepid class nacelles, which I did alright on, I have to say. I mean, those were more angular pylons than the nacelles in the Sovereign class were. And they had the ability to sort of tilt upwards at a 45-degree angle when they were going to warp. Shit, almost fell off there. Let's try this again.
You just say the word.
But yeah, you saw the missile launchers and the heavy laser turrets. I have the lasers right there, and the rocket launchers are right behind. There. As you can see, this is kind of laggy. I did have to do that exploit where you can increase your settlement size by taking items from your workshop, putting them in your inventory, dropping them all from your inventory, and then putting them all in your workbench from the workshop mode. And here, I feel like this turned out very well. I decided to go with an open air on the bridge for the Galaxy, or for the Sovereign class, excuse me. I feel like it did it a lot better, especially with the raised floors. Here we would have the Enterprise E bridge. I really modeled it after the Enterprise D. Right here we have the captain's chair, first officer's chair, and the counselor's chair. And from here we'd have security, ops, tactical, con, all your good stuff, helm. And through here we have our war room.
You know what I call a good day?
Fuck off.
One that ends without an empty stomach.
Yeah. And as we can see here, we have a view of downtown Boston. I really had a lot of fun with this. As you guys know, the floors don't stack very well, so I had to line it up the best I could and then go from there. But overall, I'd say it looks really good. Not to toot my own horn or anything. And you saw the war room, and I'd probably make this a ready room. At any rate, let's go see our Intrepid class Voyager. Now this one I had quite a bit of fun with. I did this one the last. This is my most recent build. There was quite a bit of learning curve with the Defiant and the Enterprise E, and I seem to have gotten over a lot of that. And with this one, so right here, before I go too far, we'd have maybe an engineering right there, and back here we'd have our mid bay. Still need to light it up and put a hollow emitter in, which would be that floor light you guys saw earlier, and the mess hall right here as well. And this would be considered maybe an officer's lounge area, you know, looking out towards downtown Boston. And here we'd have our captain's quarters, kind of bare bones at the moment. to close some of these holes up at some point. And without any further ado, let's get to the bridge. Thinking about maybe putting an astrometric slab back here somewhere. And here we have our bridge. So we decided against going with the open air on the Intrepid class build. As you guys can see, this doesn't look too bad. This is, for the most part, somewhat anatomically correct. On the real Intrepid ship, you would have the briefing room, or the war room, right about there. And the captain's ready room would be right about there. I had to push everything back just for constraints, but here's the ready room, which I think looks pretty fucking good. And without any further ado, I will take you down to this area. I'm hopefully going to turn this into crew quarters. Maybe I just got to figure out the spacing and everything else. Because it's just been a pain in the ass lately with just snapping things together with those 4 doorways. And through here we'd have our shuttle bay. Kind of an open air area. Might throw some roofing over here. And through here we have the warp nacelles. I'm thinking about doing some blue aft and maybe some red up there. Same with this, it's not anything special. But with this one, I decided mainly on the body section to go as wide as it is with the Enterprise E. The thing the Enterprise E has going for it is the fact that it's tall. And down here, I've got somewhat of a pain in the ass. This is the deflector dish, or what will be the deflector dish once I'm finished with it. As you guys can probably see, this is a somewhat bare bones build so far. Take you guys on the top of this ship. Really kind of quite happy with the way the whole skeleton of this turned out. It's really quite something. And all in all, I'd say that everything combined took about maybe 10,000 steel to build. Took a lot of other things too. I know I had to go back through Diamond City quite a bit to pick up my supplies. And I actually ran out of wood from all of my other settlements building this shit right here. And, oh yes, there's one thing I wanted to point out to you. This antenna tower right here. When I started building the Enterprise E, I didn't really think this would be an issue, but it turns out it is. That being said, let's go down to the Defiant. As you guys probably know, the Defiant was pretty bare bones as far as any amenities goes. It was really specifically designed as a warship. Out here we'd have our mess hall, pretty bare bones. Through here we'd have some crew quarters, and back here we've got our sick bay. And you got a hollow emitter even though it didn't have one. And through here we'd probably have officers' quarters, maybe captains, split with an officers. I haven't really decided what I want to do yet. And back here we'd have our engineering. Yes, I did have to make a hole in the floor there so that I could string conduit and wire. Here I'm thinking about doing more crew quarters. These are the light boxes for the end nacelles. I don't have any for the forward section of the ship yet. A lot of mismatched walls too. And right here I intended to put a briefing room, but I wasn't quite done with it. As for the Defiant bridge, it looks somewhat alright. Somewhat accurate. And as you can see, I kind of decided against any sort of open air on this bridge as well. From Deep Space Nine, you kind of got the feeling this was a tight space. And this right here would be where the deflector dish is. And truly, the cockpit, or the bridge, would be somewhere right around in here for the Defiant. Just figured it would work better up front. As for my armaments, I've got these laser turrets. I've got some heavy laser turrets, and I have 4 rocket launchers. And we'll take a look at some of our stats here. I have 292 water, 16 food, 255 defense, 24 beds, and a happiness of 87. I really don't know what I have to do to get anyone to attack this fucking place anymore. I got it to where I'd have super mutants and Yagawai attacking, and I have less water than I've got now, but for some reason I can't figure out why no one's attacking. Yeah, there we have it. Here's a nice tribute to the Star Trek universe. And if you guys have any comments, questions, or suggestions for anything I should do next, just leave a comment below.
If someone needs help, we help them. If someone's hurting, we hurt.
Happy Fallout, King.